Hello everyone. So in this segment I wanted to go over the IRS form 1099 INT. So the 1099 INT is used to report interest income that was paid during the year, right? So this form is generally required when a payor, so in this example it's Discover Bank, it could be Bank of America, Charles Schwab, any other bank or party that might pay you interest during the year, they need to file this 1099 INT form if they pay you more than $10 in interest during the year. So that's the threshold, right? So if you get more than $10 in interest during the year from a single payor, they're going to report this information on a 1099 INT. They're going to send you a copy, and they'll send the IRS a copy as well. Now, for U.S. taxpayers, important note here, just because you don't receive a 1099 INT doesn't mean the income is not reportable. So if, for example, you got $4 in interest income during the year from somebody, you might not get a 1099, but you still have to report the income, right? So if we flip back to 1040 here, it's for John Smith, let's say. So Schedule B, interest and dividends. In Part 1, where we report the interest income, even if you have less than $10 in interest from some source, you should still list it here and report the earnings, right? Because as a taxpayer, you're obliged to report all of your income from whatever source derived, right? So even if you earned $1, technically, under the IRS rules, you have to report it here, okay? So let's go back to the 1099 INT really quick. So in this example, we have John Smith. He's being paid interest income on his savings account with Discover Bank. He earned quite a bit here, right? $2,141.23. You have the payer's TIN here, the recipient's TIN. Obviously, this is a fake name and TIN, but normally you're just going to see a field in box 1. If for any reason you had backup withholding, let's say, you might have some federal income tax withheld in box 4. This can also be reported on your form 1040. You would get credit for the taxes that are withheld on the income, but in this case, John just had the interest paid into his account, so he needs to report it on his tax return. So where does John report it? Well, if we flip back to the 1040, Schedule B is where we report interest and dividend income for a U.S. taxpayer. So Part 1 has the interest, Part 2 has the dividend income. In this case, so Part 1, we've listed the payee, right? Or sorry, the payer. Discover Bank is the one that's paying the interest, and he has $2,141. Now, you notice we left off the cents there. Under the IRS rules, you actually don't have to report anything in decimals, right? So you're allowed to round for federal tax purposes. So you recall it was 21.41 and 23 cents. You just round down to an even 21.41, and that's fine. The IRS is okay with that. So he got $2,141 in interest income from Discover Bank. He reports it here. It all foots down there. Then ultimately it flows back to page 1 of his form 1040, and we see it reported on line 2B as taxable interest, right? So there's John's taxable interest for the year. So not too complicated. It's really just important to make sure that you actually report everything you receive on your tax return. So the big takeaway here is, if you receive a 1099, whether it's an INT, a div, miscellaneous, NEC, the IRS is getting a copy of this. So you want to make sure you report this on your tax return, because if you don't, the likelihood is that you will get what's called a matching notice, where the IRS says, hey, we got a 1099 showing you had interest income of $2,100, and we didn't see reported on your tax return. What's the issue? So if you get a 1099, make sure to report it on your tax return, report it in the correct spot, pay the tax that you will owe, and then you should be all set. Okay. So that covers it for this segment. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below, and I will be happy to help answer those and see where I can assist you. Thanks so much. Take care.